Fix. We begin tonight with the great Elizabeth Edwards, who's campaigning with her husband in New Hampshire. Well, you beat Hillary Clinton.
That's a pretty good job, don't you think?
You beat the establishment. Yep. You beat the people in power.
I think the real question was, can Chris Matthews do shtick? That's what she was.
No, that's not a question.
No.
Well, tell me about how you're going to do it up here. How does John Edwards win this election?
You think about what happened in Iowa. I mean, I was out there, and when I finally would get home, we spent so much time on the road, but when we finally get back to the hotel room at night, you listen to these commercials, and it was just nonstop. $9 million by the Obama campaign, over $6.5 by the Clinton campaign. They had paid operatives all over the state, incredibly well organized.
And you guys are rich.
We spent $2.5 million on ads, or $2.7 million on ads. So we outspent what, 6 to 1?
But how come he was outspent about 7 to 1 or 10 to 1, and he won?
No, he did. But what it says is that you don't have to spend the most money in order to have a good showing in a state if you have a message that appeals to the electorate. And John has a message that appeals to the electorate. I mean, and we bring the message to.
Why did Hillary come in third in Iowa? She's the best-known candidate. She's part of the Clinton team, the Clinton establishment, the most popular name in the Democratic Party for 20 years. Why'd she get beaten by both you guys?
I think that what you said is exactly it. For the past 20 years. People aren't looking backwards. We're going to need to have some changes in the way things are done in Washington, and we know that if you're sort of cozy with the powers that be, that you're not going to be the person to make those changes. And I think that the people of Iowa rejected the status quo. Clearly, nearly 70% of the voters voted for change, either with Senator Obama or for my husband. And I think that's the direction that the race is now headed. Now we have a choice between, how do you think you can affect that change? That's where the
last time around, John Kerry won in Iowa, and then he won in New Hampshire. It seems to be a pretty strong slingshot effect. How do you beat it?
You do get it. I mean, you led with that.
We lead with the winners here, Elizabeth.
And that happened to us too, in terms of John Kerry getting a lot of press. The other thing, of course, we had the Dean Scream in '04, which sort of made second place, which John had not mean as much, because y'all covered that as opposed to the second place finish. Now, of course, you're covering Hillary's third place finish instead of John's second place finish. We're still fighting against you guys, but I think that. John's also getting a bump, and we're seeing it on the internet. We're on pace to have the best fundraising day ever, and most of the contributors are brand new people who are coming into the process, and most of them are small contributors. This is the working man's campaign, in a sense. I mean, that's who John's been talking about and who he intends to fight for, and that's who seems to be coming out and supporting him now. So I think we just have to keep moving forward, pressing forward with the message, and making the distinctions about where Senator Obama and John differ.
Don't you make it easier on Hillary Clinton to have the anti-Hillary vote split between you two?
Oh, maybe, but it seems to me the anti-Hillary, the Hillary vote isn't going to get her there. And I think that's why you see her at a podium now, sometimes with change on there. That's why the speech that she gave was so focused on change, when that's clearly not what she represents in the party, and wasn't what she represented when she first started this campaign. She thought that her years in the White House as First Lady and that her years as a senator were going to be enough to sweep her into the White House.
Do you think, John, your husband has a better chance of winning the nomination if you first knock Hillary out of the race? In other words, even if Barack has to win up here, it's better to knock Hillary out. Because if she's knocked out, then you two can fight it out. John Edwards and Barack Obama. I'm looking through this strategically. I don't know how John Edwards wins this thing as long as those two are fighting for the nomination. They seem to get in the way. Well, doesn't one of them have to get knocked out? If John's not finishing second isn't enough to get him in the conversation with you guys, yes, we have to knock one of those two off in order to get him into the conversation. But the truth of the matter is that it's not about those. You can't run a presidential race with your eye on the other guy. You have to run it. You have to put blinders on. This is your message, and this tacking. Someone described what's happening sometimes in you get a lead, and it's like the America's Cup. The guy in the lead doesn't necessarily have to make a move. All he does is watch what the guy behind him does and tacks, to protect himself from that. We're seeing a little bit of that in this campaign. John talks about something. A few days later, we might hear the other candidates talk about the same thing. So we need to make certain that people are associating John's message with John. That's our job. Okay, we have two change candidates running right now at the front. That's John Edwards and Barack Obama. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, there are several differences. I mean, if you were here in New Hampshire, you'd say, you know, one difference is that one of them supports nuclear power, which is not particularly popular in this state. That would be Senator Obama, and John does not think that that is a reasonable alternative. It's not a renewable source of energy, so it's basically going down the oil path. Another difference is John's never taken money from a Washington lobbyist or a PAC, and Senator Obama, we're proud that he's doing it in this presidential race, but he has a history of having taken those kinds of money.
But Senator Edwards, your husband takes tons of money from the trial lawyers. They're an interest group.
Every person, teachers are an interest group.
Right.
Press people are an interest group. Every time, you can't just identify their occupation and say they're an interest group.
But how do you defend taking all this money from the trial lawyers?
What?
They're not the most popular group in the country.
And I suppose there are people who take money from people who own.
Teachers are defensible. Trial lawyers are a question mark.
Well, actually, trial lawyers have spent their lives defending precisely the same kinds of people John's talking about, working people who have to go up against corporations or insurance companies and find themselves on the short end of the stick too often because they don't have the voice, the champion that they need. And John's proud of the fact that he has support of those kinds of people. I'm tired of this stuff from you. It is the same song and dance from you all the time.
And what is my song and dance?
That you treat trial lawyers as if they're a different breed of American than anybody else. They're
just driving the doctors out of states like Pennsylvania. That's all. These guys can't afford to practice anymore because the trial lawyers are killing them with malpractice.
The reason that the insurers pulled out of the state of Pennsylvania was because the antitrust laws do not cover insurance companies. We could argue about this for a long time. I just think
the doctors are the good guys, okay?
The doctors are the good guys,
right.
but it's not doctors. It's the insurance companies that have been the problem.
You can't even find a bartender in states like Pennsylvania because of the trial lawyers. Anyway, thank you, the champion of the trial lawyers. You think that's a good cause to run in for president?
No, I think that the people who trial lawyers represent, the working people of this country, that's who John's talking about. It's the people he grew up with.
Right.
When he went to work not because he was enamored of the trial lawyer. He was enamored of what they did, the work that they did, of the people that they represented. That's what he's doing still.
Well, he gave a good speech last night.
I thought he did give a good speech.
It was a good speech. And he's a great candidate, and I think you're great.
I didn't hear that.
He's a great candidate. He's one of the three in the mix right now. It's a tough one. I mean, he's not that first woman president, first African American president. This is exciting history. John Edwards is just another white Protestant from the South.
I have to say something. I'm a child of the '60s. You are too.
Right.
We fought very hard for civil rights and women's rights. What we fought for is so that it wouldn't make a difference that we were a woman or that we were an African American.
Right.
It shouldn't make a difference. We're not allowed now to say, I'm sorry, it makes a difference to me. I get to do it. That's what we fought for it to make no difference whatsoever.
Yeah. You think we're there? Where we're colorblind?
Not yet.
I know.
We're not.
That's why it's exciting, this race.
Yeah, it is exciting.
You've got a great face, Elizabeth. I love your smile.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you,
I don't want to patronize you. You're great. Elizabeth Edwards, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take